Now, if we were to take where the color changes here from gray to blue as our low point, this is going to really help us understand what happens with good ball strikers. Now, the best players in the world, like I said, they have their low point past the golf ball. So it is about 4 inches with a 7-iron on the PGA Tour, 4 to 5 inches past the golf ball, but also it is about 1 centimeter to 3 centimeters below the ground, hence why you take a divot. Now, if I was then to grab the club and I was to put the club sort of on this position right here where I hit the ball, you can see that my club would be traveling down as I hit that golf ball. This is why we see great iron players have a descending blow on the golf ball. They are hitting down on the golf ball. It's not because they're swinging over the top, it's simply that they've moved their arc, they've moved their low point past the golf ball. By far the most common skill that amateur golfers struggle with is controlling their low point, and low point control is crucial for achieving that ball and then ground contact. So let's kick this video off by explaining what low point is and why being able to control it is so important for your golf swing. Now, the golf swing is essentially a giant circle that goes around our body. Now, that circle is tilted at an angle, and obviously every circle has to have a lowest point. Now, that lowest point is what we call the low point. Here is the key thing about low point. When we are talking about irons, we need to be able to compress our irons. That means when we look at the best players in the world, we will see all of them be extremely consistent and extremely good at controlling their low point. Now, what you will see here is I have drawn a white line, a red X, and a green arrow on the ground. What we see with the best players in the world is their lowest point of their swing will roughly be about 4 to 5 inches past the golf ball with a 7-iron on the PGA Tour. Now, on the LPGA Tour, where the club speed is a little bit lower, that low point will be a little bit less, and it will be about 2 to 3 inches past the golf ball. But essentially what we're seeing is that good ball strikers have their low point past the golf ball with irons, and they are very, very consistent in where they have that low point. Now, what we see with most amateurs is sort of the opposite. Their lowest point of their swing tends to be at the golf ball, or even worse, tends to be behind the golf ball with irons. So we are going to use a hula hoop to help us understand this just a little bit more. So again, the golf swing is essentially a giant circle that works around our body, and you can see here, if I stand in that circle, it's kind of at a 45-degree angle right there. Now, I want you to imagine that the center of this circle is going to be the left shoulder joint, so the lead shoulder joint in my golf swing. That's going to be the center of this circle. Now, if we were to take where the color changes here from gray to blue as our low point, this is going to really help us understand what happens with good ball strikers. Now, the best players in the world, like I said, they have their low point past the golf ball. So it is about 4 inches with a 7-iron on the PGA Tour, 4 to 5 inches past the golf ball, but also it is about 1 centimeter to 3 centimeters below the ground, hence why you take a divot. Now, if I was then to grab the club and I was to put the club sort of on this position right here where I hit the ball, you can see that my club would be traveling down as I hit that golf ball. This is why we see great iron players have a descending blow on the golf ball. They are hitting down on the golf ball. It's not because they're swinging over the top, it's simply that they've moved their arc, they've moved their low point past the golf ball. So that means that as the club is traveling to that low point, it hits the ball, it's traveling on the way down, it continues to travel on the way down. That's why we see the divot past the ball, and then it continues to arc through. Now, obviously that's going to offer a lot of compression. However, most amateurs, they have their low point either way too close to the golf ball or even behind it. So if I go and put that low point right here behind the golf ball, you can see now I'm going to want to bottom out early. So what a lot of golfers will then do is hit it fat, or they will react to try and scoop to try and get that low point moving forwards, or you will see them swing over the top, because swinging over the top will move your low point forwards, or even worse, we see that early extension because that brings the arc up off the ground, gives you a chance of hitting the ball, but again, you're not going to be able to compress it. So how do we actually control the low point? Well, we need to focus on the body movement, and like I said, with this hula hoop, the center of the arc is going to be roughly the left shoulder. Now, one of the biggest issues I see actually stems from the backswing. So let's firstly explain what happens in the backswing. So in the backswing, if I make a nice centered pivot, you will see how my left shoulder will turn sort of behind the golf ball. Now, actual fact, when we are doing this, we are taking that low point, which is pretty much sat at address right here. And as we turn back, we are going to be moving that low point behind the golf ball, which is very, very normal. The issue I see is that when golfers make this backswing is, yes, they move the left shoulder behind the ball, but then what they'll also do is they'll stand up and they'll lose their body angle. So their hips will come underneath them. And again, they'll get into the position where they're standing tall. Now, most often, this is caused by a poor posture. So very quickly, here's how you find your good posture position. Stand nice and tall with your feet normal distance apart. Then from there, lower the club down till it roughly gets to about belt buckle height and you feel that connection with your arms sort of on top of your chest. Now from here, keep your legs straight, your hips level, and your weight's going to feel pretty 50-50, and you're just going to round forward till the club touches the ground. So you can see lower back is flat, upper back has some soft curvature, my arms are just naturally hanging, my legs are still straight, and now I'm going to unlock my legs till I roughly get the fronts of my kneecaps over the balls of the feet, and you can see my armpits, knees, balls of the feet are all in one straight line, and my arms are just naturally hanging, and I feel very balanced. Toe to heel ratio is pretty much 50-50. This is going to put me in a great position. So this is going to make now rotation so much easier. Do that drill, it's going to sort your posture out, and it's going to make rotation easier. So when we see players stand up, what they are doing is they are actually bringing that low point off the ground. So now in the downswing, they're going to have to come down to the ground. Otherwise, if I'm up here and I just swing, I'm just going to air swing it every single time. Often this results in golfers having to bring the chest down very quickly, and as you can see, this causes the club to swing over the top. So once you fix that posture, what I want you to do is imagine that I have a golf club held on the top of your head right here. Now, I don't want you to drop down too much, because again, if you imagine that arc is going to be dropping the arc way too low below the ground. I just want you to feel like as you turn, you can maintain the same height right there. So you're keeping your height. You're not standing up, you're not dropping down. You're trying to feel like you just stay the same height as you turn. And again, having a great posture is going to make that a lot easier. If I then do that, you can see that if I was just to turn and stay the same height, I would just be moving this arc behind the golf ball, which is very, very normal, which is 100% what we want to do, because then this sets up beautifully for now the transition. Now, on a quick side note, today's video is very much about the body motion. If you want the part 2, which is all about how the hands and arms should work in order to help you improve your low point control, drop it down below. If I get enough comments on it, enough requests, I will do the part 2. Now, anyway, we're at the top of the backswing, and like I said, we are about to start down, and our low point is back here behind the golf ball. Now, as we can see with the diagram right here, we have the red X behind the ball. This is representing the no-go zone. We do not want to have our low point in this red X as we come down into impact. What we can see is A, the little green dot just past the golf ball, and B, we can see this arrow. So what I want you to be doing is, first of all, understanding two different things: low point and first point of ground contact. I want you to aim to hit the ground at that green dot. That is crucial. But then from there, obviously the divot's going to take place, and we're going to continue to hit down into the ground, and our low point is going to be further past that, kind of closer to the tip of the arrow maybe. So let's imagine that's sort of a good reference guide. We're going to aim to hit the ground at the green dot, but we need that low point to be further past. How do we do that? Because right now our low point is way behind the golf ball because we have turned back. Well, here is understanding the transition is so important. So what we need to understand is we need to be able to shift our pressure and get our body mass back to our left side. There is a right way and there is definitely a wrong way of doing it. So what is the right way? So if I just grab the club, place it on my shoulders, go to the top of the backswing here, you can see in this position, my left shoulder's behind the ball. What we see with the best players in the world is what I call the compression movement. How does this compression movement work? The left shoulder, the left hip and the left knee are going to work down and forwards this way. If I do that without opening my chest, you can see how that gets me back to my left side here. So now my pressure under my left foot has massively spiked. What I see so many amateurs do is, first of all, they go to the top and they spin. So they're not actually shifting back to their left side. All they're doing is rotating, and this does bring the low point forwards, but unfortunately it sends the club way out over the top. Or number two is you see sort of this secondary tilt where the left shoulder works up very quickly, the club then drops under, and yes, they might be getting their left hip back to their left side, but because their left shoulder's so far back, they're going to be hitting the ground way back behind the golf ball. So what we want to be seeing is, as they shift down, we want to be seeing the left shoulder, left hip, left knee work down and forwards this way as the shoulders stay closed. Now, if I grab the hula hoop again and I sort of get back into this top of the backswing position, you can see the hula hoop would be about here. Now, if I do this down and forwards motion, we would be seeing the hula hoop do this. It would be working down and forwards this way. So actually now we're sending that hula hoop, probably the low point, well below the ground because we're doing that compression movement. We're getting very close to the ground. Now, we will get on to then what happens to bring that back into a good spot. But for now, the key thing that we're doing is the big heavy lifting of getting back to our left side. Now, let me give you a really simple drill that's going to help you with this. So here is the drill that we're going to go through. Now, before we go into the drill, this isn't my drill. I got this drill from Eric Cognero and JT Thomas. If you don't know who they are, they're two phenomenal golf coaches. Eric has a massive YouTube account. Go check out his content because it is really, 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 really good. So all credit to them for this drill. Fantastic drill. I'm going to pass on the information to you now. Now, what you're going to do is place these two alignment sticks down. So we've got the first alignment stick sort of representing right on your toe line right here. And the second alignment stick is going to be your ball position line. Now we're going to number these 1 to 4. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the two key ones that we're going to be focusing on is box 1 and box 3. So box 3 is where my right foot is right now. Box 1 is target side of the golf ball. So go to the top of your backswing. Now as you move the left side of your body down and forwards, I want you to feel like it works into box 1. It's going to be feeling like it goes in the direction of box 1 right here. So it's going this way. Now you can see from the downline view how my shoulders are staying closed. This is crucial because this is what allows us to swing on plane. This is what allows us to get the club dropping onto plane. So here is the key swing thought. You go to the top of the backswing. You go left shoulder, left hip, left knee. It's going to feel like it works down towards box 1 as the chest stays closed and the hands stay in box 3. Now you can see they are dropping down. So body goes to box 1, hands stay in box 3. And this is what gets me in a position to where I'm shifting back to my left side. The pressure in my left foot is really, really spiking right here. And from this position, I'm going to be able to get into a great spot here to then where I can start to rotate through the shot. But this shifting motion where I'm keeping the upper body stacked on top of the lower body is very much getting my low point past the golf ball. And this is the key thing. This is the key movement that is going to allow you to get your low point past the ball. Now, once you've done that a couple of times, again, like I said, have that chalk line on the ground. Do that if you like. It's a really, really good visual. But now let me actually show you what this movement looks like. So I'm going to set up to the ball. I'm going to feel like I go to the top, maintain the same height. Left shoulder, left hip, left knee, work down and forwards as the hands stay in box 3. So body works to box 1, hands stay in box 3, and then I turn through. Now I do have the TrackMan just off of camera right there. So when I hit this shot, we're going to be able to get some data. We're going to see where my low point was relative to the golf ball. So body to box 1, hands stay in box 3. Let's give this a go right here. So let me flash the data up on the screen right now. This was an 8 iron, but overall we can see the low point was 4 inches after the golf ball, angle of attack was down, and then from there you can see carry 166. But the main premise of this is you can see I had that low point past the golf ball. Now we're going to sort of get into impacts, some good checks you can have, and how that left shoulder should sort of clear through the shot. Now I have a very simple guide that I like to look at with all my clients. So what I will do is I will draw a line straight up from the edge of the left ankle at impact. So imagine this is my impact position here. Now, what I want to see is that the knee, the sort of center of the knee joint is on the edge of the ankle right there. I want to see that the left hip is either touching or slightly past that line. And then from there, I want to see that the edge of the left shoulder is touching that line. If I look at golfers and I see them like this to where when I draw that line up, the left shoulder is way too far back, I know they are going to big time struggle with low point control. And also if I see them like this, where again, I draw that line straight up, the whole body's back, again, I'm going to know that they're going to struggle with low point control. So do that when you next video you swing. So what now happens once we do that compression movement? So like I showed you with the hula hoop, when we move down and forwards, we're moving the low point back to the left side, but we're also shoving it quite a ways underground. So how do we manage that? How do we make sure that it's not going too far under, but also how do we start to get that rotation, get that speed in our shot as well? Well, we will see the best players in the world, they'll go from this compressed position to now they'll start to work up and out of the shot with that left shoulder. It will really start to explode. This is what gets that rotation. So rotation in the downswing really happens quite quick, but also quite late on in the downswing, because we're doing this compression movement back to the left side, then we'll get that big rotation. This causes the hands to slow down, which sends the energy into the club head, releases the club, all of that magical stuff that you can't think about because it happens so quick. All you can focus on is clearing the left shoulder. So in reality, How are we going to train this? Well, the first drill that I like to do is I like to get players into this sort of positions where they go down and forwards. Now, what I do is I get them to go, right, just chuck the club on the ground just like so. Now, from here, I want you to imagine that you're going to drag this club as close to your body as possible and up into a high follow-through position. So this is a massive exaggeration. So something like this, and up into that high follow-through position. So you can see as I did that, pelvis tucked under, got into a really nice position, and the left shoulder started to work up and out. And you will see players do this. You'll see Tiger do this, where they go to the top of the backswing, do that compression movement, they'll chuck the club on the ground, and then drag it up and through into that high follow-through. Why are they doing this? When you start to get that left shoulder working up and out, gives you that amazing rotation. It then slows the hands down, which puts the energy into the club head. And then from there, you're going to get beautiful impact conditions, speed, releases, everything. So a second drill that I love is sort of a similar variation of this, but it's a little bit easier on the body. So the second variation is an alignment stick drill, and this is so much easier on the body right here. So grip it like a driver, so right at the end, have it in front of you, then bring it so it's in line with your trail toe. Now from here, you're gonna squat down into this position, so you're gonna represent that sort of compressed movement, so left shoulders work down and forwards, left knee, left hip. And if I was to draw that line, you can see everything's sort of back into one straight line. Now from here, I'm going to drag it through into a nice high follow through. And as I do that, because of the resistance of the alignment stick, you can see it works my left shoulder up and out of the shot, my left hip up and out of the shot. And it really does develop that sensation. So this is awesome for getting that extra bit of rotation, that extra bit of speed, and ultimately giving you that phenomenal impact position and great ball, then ground contact that we're striving for. So if we were to summarize down the left shoulder movement, we would see that the left shoulder works down and around, it then works down and forwards, and then it works up and back. And those are some very simple words that you can use just to help you learn that left shoulder movement. And again, those are a lot of key patterns, key drills that you can do that are going to help you in terms of ball then ground contact. But what I would also recommend is setting up some sort of chalk station like this. This is washable chalk, so I'll just put a water bottle on it at the end and it will disappear. But again, just having these sort of reference guides is going to be crucial for you. So when you're doing this, draw a big white line like I've done right here and get used to landing the club target side of that line. You're going to have to feel like you can do this great weight shift to get it into that position. Again, Bryson DeChambeau recently published a video on this, showing that he used to do this for hours and hours and hours, and he is one of the best, if not arguably one of the best ball striker in the world right now. And it's because he is so good at consistently landing the club in the same spot over and over and over again. He doesn't do it way too far past, he doesn't do it way too far early. He pretty much lands the club just past the golf ball, and then the lowest point of his swing is a good 4 or 5 inches past the golf ball. But again, fantastic way of practicing this. If you're on a mat indoors and you don't want to put chalk down, put some tape down like Bryson did in that video. But again, these are really, really simple things that you can do that are going to massively help. If you're on grass, you can even grab a tee and just sort of scratch a line, place the ball on it, and then from there you're trying to see that you make contact with the ground just past the golf ball, and then from there the lowest point of your divot is a good sort of 2, 3, 4 inches past the golf ball. So again, if I just do a swing here, I'm just getting used to what it feels like to make that ground contact past the ball. I have to feel that good down and forwards movement in transition whilst I keep the chest closed. Again, that drill, box 1, box 3, this is going to put you in a great position. Here's what it should look like. So there you have it. That is going to massively improve your ball striking, helping you get that ball and then ground contact. There is also a free practice guide down in the description, so be sure to get hold of that to teach you how to practice. And if you want more one-to-one help with your game, offer online coaching on the Skillest platform. The link is again down in the description. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and subscribe, share the love and send it to your buddies as well. And I hope to see you back here soon.